Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the Talk with Kiet show, where we connect people, ideas, and capital to help make a difference. Today, I am on with Tony Pietrocola, the president of AgileBlue. Tony and I will talk about his extensive career and entrepreneur journey, as well as opportunities within the cybersecurity space. Tony, welcome to the show.
Kit, thanks for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, so look, we had an exciting, fun conversation earlier when we were prepping this, but what we typically do in the show is we start with the origin story because I think origin story is important, right? Every entrepreneur goes through their life experience to get to the point they are, and people always take it for granted. It's like, oh, it's easy to be on. No, it's not, right? So what is the origin story for Tony?
Yeah, sometimes it can be a big pain being an entrepreneur.
That's
Big
right.
one. So my story's probably a little less sexy than some people's. I got my first job out of college at Apple. And this is when Apple was Apple Computer. So 1997, right? I'm old, a long time ago. We weren't cool back then. We had no iPhone, no iPad, nothing. We were pretty bad. We were down to 6 months of cash too, about 150 million bucks, which is obviously these days chump change. Steve Jobs had just come back, and it was my first job. And I tell you, the first day when you're there, they teach you two things: stay on message, right? Because Apple's all about message. And number two, be an entrepreneur within Apple. And then obviously when you leave Apple, right? So, Apple produces a lot of entrepreneurs. I was there 3 years, had a fantastic time, learned a ton. Got yelled at once by Steve Jobs, not one-on-one, one on like 200, but got yelled at. That's interesting. And then started my own company in 2021, right around 2001. So, and then have run companies ever since. So yeah, basically it was Apple. I mean, they beat it into you, be an entrepreneur, do something different, and it stuck.
And what was your first business that you started?
First business was called 10th Floor. And what we did is we not only designed websites, because that was actually cool back then to do that. Now, not so much. We had a content management system that then allowed companies to then update it and keep it going, and e-commerce, sell product through it, all that good stuff. So we were very early in that space. It was a fun company. We were on the second floor. So for the first 2 months of our business, this is not a joke, we didn't get mail because we were in a 5-story building, second floor. The mailman came in first couple months, and the name of the company was 10th Floor, but he didn't see a 10 on the elevator. Took it all back to the central processing. So, as you're young, you don't really want mail because it's probably bills, but then stuff start getting shut down. So we had to go to the mail system and get it. But yeah, that's what we did.
That's interesting. And then you sold that business, right?
Yeah, in 2008, a company out of Boston, publicly traded, called Bridgeline Digital, acquired us. We went public in '08 too. Really interesting time to be in the public markets. It was cool seeing our stock go from 5 to 6 to 7, and really interesting then to see it go down to like 33 cents. But that was 2008. We all lived through it.
Yeah. But talk about that experience in selling your business for the first time. Like, what was going through your mind?
What's interesting about that? It was interesting selling it. I told myself, we're going to sell it. If I go to sleep tonight and I can sleep through the night, it's a good idea. And I did. So we did. But, we were 3 guys who started the business, 3 entrepreneurs, and we didn't know anything. We just, ran a fun little business. When we got acquired by professionals, people who had taken other companies public, CFOs, guys who knew what they were doing. So we learned how to be professionals, right? And really how to build a global business. So I got to tell you, I never went and got my MBA working for Bridgeline. Then I was there for 6 years after the acquisition, and the CEO, Thomas Massey, that was my MBA, working with, a CFO, a CEO, guys who, created these, $100 million companies, went public. That's what I learned a ton. So I got to tell you, that was fantastic. And that really helped me out for the rest of my career.
No, that's amazing. And then after that, you went into what, digitizing mortgage process?
Yeah. So I was on the board of a mortgage bank, and for a great company, a large company out of Cleveland, Ohio. And they wanted to create a competing product to Rocket Mortgage, which back then was called Quicken Loans. Obviously, now it's called Rocket Mortgage. Huge, obviously, in Detroit, but also very big in Cleveland, right? Because Dan Gilbert owns the Cavs and the casino and a lot of other stuff. But anyway, we created a company called vloan.com. and we were going right to the consumer. And we started it from nothing, right? One day we flipped the switch after building out our online product, flipped the switch, went live, and for 3 years ran it, and we did some really good things. That larger company that started it with consumed it, and it is now still going, and obviously part of that larger enterprise. And then I left to do what I'm doing now. But I got to tell you, let me tell you something. The most complicated business I've ever seen in my life is mortgages, man. That stuff is tough, and to win in it is very difficult.
It's still very paper intense,
Oh my
right?
God,
It's crazy.
they love hitting the print button, baby. They
Yeah,
love it. They love
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I still remember the heavy stack you gotta sign, like 50 signatures. I don't understand how they do it.
It's incredible, and if you think about all the technological advances we've had in let's just say the United States, mortgage still needs to be disrupted, and it can't, because there are counties and county warehouses and just laws that just make it the most complex process you can just possibly imagine. But you were in finance, so you saw the way that they take mortgages and obviously create securities out of them and bundle them together. It is for whatever $1.4 trillion business, might be more now. There's just a lot of movement. Everybody's got a house for the most part, so it's a big business.
No, it is. So I'm not sure I mentioned to you, but I was actually part of the team that built the ability to short mortgages. So we built the ABX. So all those
You
characters that
were in
might.
2008.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We help correct the system.
Yeah, that's right.
But there's still a lot. Look, there's still a lot of underpinning, I think, opportunities in terms of technology and solving a lot of the key challenges. One of it is cybersecurity, right? Which you're doing at AgileBlue. But before we go deep into the topic, is as an entrepreneur, like how do you decide the next thing you want to build or create? Like what's that mindset that goes to? What's the equation for you?
You know what it is? I read something a long time ago that's always stuck with me. People want to be taken care of, so take care of them. I think it was Larry Ellison that wrote it. So whatever business you get into, can you help someone's life in some way, right? And look, Larry Ellison's probably one of the top 3 to 5 entrepreneurs of all time. It's not like he's a philanthropist though, trying to do this for free. Larry makes a lot of money, right? So it's taken that mindset. So back in the day with websites, is people can't do this themselves, so let's create a tool allow them to do it. VLoan is, can we digitize the mortgage process, which would reduce costs for these people. So hopefully it helps them get in a house. And then obviously in cyber, it is you're going to get beat down by the hackers. So what can we do to help? And it's not like we're philanthropists either with this. We have a business that we want to make money with. But the goal is, can we help people where they need to be helped? And that's the goal, and where we started with AgileBlue.
Okay, and tell us a bit more about AgileBlue, because you guys have grown like crazy, so which is a great story.
Yeah, it's a great story. Look, at the end of the day, my business partner, who was in technology after I was leaving VLoan, we just got together. We've known each other for 20 years in other work capacities. We partnered with our other businesses together. And he's like, how much do you know about cyber and this stuff? And I said, this much. So I spent the next month literally just reading a bunch of things and understanding the industry. And he and I then got together in 2019 to start AgileBlue and start building our product. And we had one goal in mind. That's it, one goal. Let's build an autonomous SOC, security operations center. Let's make it autonomous. Everybody else has got a office with, back then everybody had offices with 1,000 people in it. So it's a very capital intensive business. Can we create tech that would automate a good portion of that process? That was our mission from day one, and that continues to be our mission today.
And talk about that topic a bit, which is interesting. You talk about now with everyone's like virtual. A lot of people like not working in the office. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, does it make cyber a little bit more tricky because everyone's operating off premise, right?
Yeah, it definitely makes it off a little bit tricky because you have less people collaborating together. But I will say this, since we launched our product in 2020 and went to market, so now for almost 5 years, we built so much tech, and that tech alleviates a lot of that. Now, there's nothing to be said for, and you and I were talking about this collaboration and engineering and getting together and just working through problems. That's something that you can't But cyber, through the use of automation and now AI, of course, it's different, right? So we've been able to alleviate some of that. But you're right, you can't get to full anything by not being together. And in Cleveland, where we're headquartered, big companies like Sherwin-Williams, Key Bank, Progressive, they've been virtual. They've mandated now get back into the office. And I think the reason is for those larger, older companies, I think the innovation is starting to dissipate. That's why I think they're bringing everybody back. Plus, they built $300 million buildings. They gotta put
Yeah.
people in.
Yeah. Well, you and I talk about there's a benefit to immersion, right? Like when you're in person with the teams and you're immersed in the topic, you can do things a lot faster, right? In that sense.
Well, I think faster, and I think you can get ideas out of people that maybe they won't be able to articulate via Zoom, right? And you start whiteboarding, and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off. And when you think about techies, sometimes engineers are a little bit shy and reserved. When you get them in person, sometimes that exterior, that barrier comes down, and you really get full bore. Over Zoom, you still got people that are hesitant to come off mute, and we're recording everything because you're trying to use the AI tools and within Zoom. So it does present some challenges. There's no doubt.
Yeah. And so let's go back a bit because so you said you went live during COVID. So that's interesting, right? So no one was in the office, everyone's working from like how do you find clients? Like how do you sell during like the world of COVID when no one's around?
It's funny. So we remodeled the office we're in. It opened. This is no BS. This isn't just for effect. On March 15th of 2020, like the last carpenter left. March 17th, if you remember, everybody's like, "Hey, you got to go home now because there's something hitting the world." So
Yeah.
2 days in the office. So we signed our first customer and got going, which was great. But then how do you sell, right? Brand new logos, brand new business. I was the only salesperson at the time. Now our sales team is large. But what do? Emails, because no one's taking calls, because generally all the systems back then, Zoom Info, they had the people's office number, not their cell number. Well, if people are home, they're not picking up their office numbers, right? So you couldn't call people. It was all email, maybe some LinkedIn. So this is 2020, maybe some LinkedIn. And when people were away from their offices back then, just going to the cloud, firewalls, the question is, are you guys like monitoring this? Are you secure? You're not in the office anymore. So sales is never easy. We all know that. But COVID actually, to an extent, let the fear come out of, man, cyber, we're going to get crushed with cyber because the criminals are always working,
Yeah.
the cyber criminals. So we do need someone monitoring. So it did help a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then I guess through that process in terms of now getting used to a new way of selling, like how does that like customer onboarding, customer experience look, right, in a virtual world?
Yeah, it's terrible because I'm a handshake kind of guy, old school, let's shake hands, let's meet. We try to do that as much as possible. But, still people aren't there. They're like, Zoom's fine, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
What it does, it makes you, even though your company or your product's not a commodity, it does make it a commodity type of sale in that you don't have a relationship with anyone. Back in the day, you used to know your customers, their kids, where they went to college. Now there's so much less of that because when the Zoom clicks on, you got 48 minutes for the next meeting hits. So you got to go. And let me say this, clients leave, not necessarily because they find something better. They leave because bad customer service, the product doesn't meet its requirements, or the product's too complex, right? So we've really, from day one, tried to make our implementations easy, not complex. Customer support better be on par. Somebody sends an email or calls, you better be on it, right? So one of our key messages, Kit, is obsess over the customer. I stole that from Jeff Bezos at Amazon. And if we obsess over our customers, man, life stays pretty good.
Well, the other point you made, which is interesting, I wanna zoom in a bit, is around the focus of what you do, right? Because you don't want to be an everything platform and get distracted, and so when you're starting a startup, you gotta focus on that one thing. Talk to the audience about this, because sometimes you talk to a client say, "Well, you do this for me. Why don't you do something else for me? Why don't you do something?"
Right.
All of a sudden, it's like, "What? Wait, what am I at the end of the day, right? I'm doing
Right.
10 different things. Like, how do you maintain that focus and clarity around, okay, this is AgileBlue, this is our thing?
Yep. I think that's something I learned a long time ago at Apple. If you think about Apple, Apple always stayed within its ecosystem, right? Think about it. They never got into servers to challenge Microsoft, really. They never got into some of these other products. They stayed very focused in what they did, and they're still very focused now. They're broad, but they're still focused in what they do. They don't get crazy. They really don't. And my first company did that. The VLON company did that. And if you think about AgileBlue, we've created an AI-based security operations platform. And that's what we do. We don't go out and do these 9 other things that would make us an MSSP. And there's a lot of MSSPs in the United States, and they do great work, and they can continue to do that great work. We are focused in our product, though, because if we have, whether you have 20 people, 30 people, 100 people, 200 people, whatever you have, if they're all focused on that mission of autonomous SOC, every day our sales team is selling that, our engineering team is building that, our customer success team is supporting that. My goodness, you're just very focused in what you do, and you could probably do that just about better than everyone. If you start bringing in other things, you got to hire a lot of people to be experts in it, and that's not the kind of company we are.
Yeah, no, that's amazing advice for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, right? Now the other things you went through was, look, AI is a blessing and a curse, right? So when you guys started, it was pre-Chat GPT,
Mm-hmm.
and now you've gone through the Chat GPT, Claude, and all this AI craze. Like, how does that impact you?
It's everything now, right? No matter what you read, it's AI. Stock market, it's AI. I have a tailor that is now saying he's an AI-based tailor to fit you. It's like, my goodness, dude. Hey,
Yeah,
you're a tailor. You're a great tailor. You're not AI. You're a guy that knows what he's doing. But anyway, when we started, it was machine learning. And you think about AI, AI is machine learning at the end of the day, right? Now,
yeah,
generative AI like ChatGPT, you're right. A couple of years ago, it came out, or really became proliferated throughout everything. So we've been building machine learning from day one. So that autonomous SOC idea has always been there. We've always had the tech. Now we're able to do more with summaries, investigations, decisioning because of where ChatGPT kind of got things going, right? Ours is called Sapphire AI, and we have our Sapphire doing a lot of those things. But we started back then with machine learning, and that's really the whole focus. Is machines are so fast at interpreting things. Let them not only interpret, let them respond, because it's way faster than a human. But hey, always have 24/7 human oversight.
that's right. And I think this is where people get confused. Is, to me, when you think about like Gen AI in general, it's like you put someone through a K to grade 12 education.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, well, this person can be a lawyer, this person can be a doctor. No, it's different, right? It's general knowledge versus agentic specific expertise, whether it's in cyber, whether it's in, you know, tailoring, plumbing, whatever the
Right.
case is, it's not the same. And I think that's where people get confused. Like, well, I'm going to use this AI tool that can solve everything. No, it really doesn't, right?
100%. And our AI solves one specific thing, and that is the security of our customers' digital infrastructure, and that's it. When you
Yeah.
ask Sapphire AI something, if you're a client, it's going to respond with something that is specific to your business. It's not going to be able to say, "Hey, can you write me a incident response plan?" Nope. You can go to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will do that in 3 seconds, and it'd be really good too. You can ask our system, hey, my DNS server looks odd. Am I under attack? That's a specific question. That's the business we're in, to be very specific to our clients.
Yeah, and the reality is it's not about replacing humans at all, right? It's really about
Nope.
augmenting. It's, you still need human in the loop, but it's saying, rather than needing 10 people to do this job, maybe it's five, but it's really enhancing their ability from that perspective, right?
We think that if you can automate the mundane human workflows, that is what needs to be automated. There's no jobs being lost. In fact, the folks who used to do those mundane human workflows are now doing more challenging projects and more challenging work. So I'll give you a data point. Since we launched our AI, we're 69.7. I always give the real number. I'm not just going to round up to 70. 69.7% less human time on the investigations, decisioning, meaning is it malicious or benign, and then what the response needs to be. And that's just going to continue to get better. it's going to continue to grow as our AI continues to grow. Now, you mentioned just a couple minutes ago, the cyber criminals are using AI to be extraordinarily intelligent, and it is doing amazing things. Sometimes you look at what they're doing, you're like, my God, these guys are super smart, right?
Yeah.
So we're always playing defense. We're always a little bit behind the bad guys, but you need AI to beat AI. You can't just have AI or people to beat AI. That's probably going to be a losing cause. It needs to be AI plus people.
Yeah, yeah. And then so this is interesting. So yeah, you had the idea 2019, you formed the business, now you have clients, you're growing, you're actually growing very fast, right? I'm a very happy shareholder, so thank you. So how do you managing through the growth, like the teams you had, or is it the same team now, like the expectations of the team, like how do you manage all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you got to have a great team, right? A great leadership team, your CTO, your VP of sales, marketing, your ops director, like those people just need to be great. And I'm knocking on whatever this is. I think it's a very fake wood, but it's my fake wood desk here. We have tremendous leadership, and that leadership is the day-to-day working with our entire team of whatever number of employees we have, 40 some plus people, to make sure we're all singularly focused. And I think that's the key. I think in my first business, we didn't. We failed in some hiring, didn't make moves fast enough to remove that leadership, and it hurt us in some areas, right? I think that's the key is you got to have great people, no matter what your business is. And the more you can do that, my goodness, that is the acceleration of 1 + 1 = the proverbial, 3 or 4.
Yeah, and so you raise a good point in the sense that, look, I always had the view where we don't decide when we hire, because honestly, what could you know from 1, 2, 3 hour conversation with someone, right? You really decide when you fire,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what are you like? What are some of the things you look for to say, hey, you know what, this is not going to work out. Here's what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, excuses. I think those are when people don't hit goals, good ones will say, "We didn't hit our goals. On me. This is what I did. Here's how we're going to change it." Man, that's the type of person you want to work with. When you talk to somebody and we say, "Hey, we didn't hit our goals," and they're like, "Well, the economy is this, and we have stupid customers, and we had the lights went out 2 weeks ago. It screwed us up." Like, what? Like, there's excuses every day of the week.
Yeah,
The world is so manic these days. There's going to always be an excuse, right? Those are the people you don't want to work with. And I
yeah,
think you can weed that out during the sales or during the interview process. It just takes some really hard questions. Not be afraid to ask the right questions, because some people are, and really dig deep for some of the answers they might give.
yeah. I always say this. I actually even say this to my kids. Excuse are like the behind holes. We all have instincts.
Exactly.
So
That's
uh,
exactly right.
so okay, so you're on a growth path, and you guys are doing great, and I actually think it's an amazing business, it's an amazing product. Um, what at what point do you say I'm going to sell this, or what, like what is the decision process? Because you sold business in the past, right?
Mhm.
Like how's the decision process right now at the stage you're at?
Yep. And my co-founder as well. He's created some great businesses and had some exits as well. So he understands it as well. I think at the end of the day, and I'll definitely be cliche. And when people say, "Oh, don't be a cliche, don't be stereotype," well, those things actually are true
Yeah,
because they're true. So I can use them. When you do find the ability to get to that next level of growth, whatever that might mean, and you can get there faster with a partner, that becomes something that might be pretty interesting for everybody. Number one. Number two, I think when everybody can be very happy, not just the investors and the executive team, but anybody who's got a piece of the company in some regard, right? Whatever our stakeholders look like, when they can be rewarded for the hard work they've done, that is such a satisfying thing. And I'm a huge, I just use the cliche of 1 + 1 = 3 or whatever. That's a big deal when you're able to find a partner that can help you get to that next level, that big jump. If it's there and culturally you could make it work, because I'm a big culture guy, obviously starting at Apple, right? That's just beating your head from minus day one.
yeah,
That's a big deal. And if you could find those things, I do think it's advantageous to take advantage. and we'll just see when that is. Sometimes you don't know the date or the time, but they do tend to sneak up on you and present themselves. So it's a really interesting thing.
Yeah. And then going into the core of the topic of this discussion is, opportunities in cybersecurity. Like, what is your view on the landscape? We talk about like Fanta going public, or
Yeah.
Wise turning down a $23 billion acquisition.
Yeah.
Like, what's your take on all this?
I got to tell you, cyber is such an insanely incredible industry. There's so much going on. There's lots of money that's coming into it from both venture and private equity. There's people going public, like Rubrik just did over this past year. You have Wiz, who's an incredible company out of Israel that turned down 23 billion from Google to be acquired. So obviously, they're going IPO at whatever 50 or get to 100 billion, whatever. Those guys are incredible with their products. And then you see other organizations as well really aligning themselves. Palo Alto had earnings a month or two ago, and that company's killing it. These are people we don't compete with, so I can say this. If we competed with them, I'd give them bad reviews, but I wouldn't do that.
Exactly.
But the industry is moving. There's money into it. There's consolidation happening. But here's why. Technology, deep fakes, audio fakes, video fakes, tremendous hacking. We just read recently. It's been a little bit suppressed that a nation state is within all of our cellular providers, AT&T, Verizon, so on and so forth.
Right.
The Wall Street Journal had an article this morning again on it. This is something that was discovered a few months ago, but we've had an election and that so much craziness. There's only so much time you have for news, but the hackers, whether they're nation state or not, are so good. They're so aggressive. And it's not just about taking money. It's not just about ransomware. That's a multi-billion dollar business. It's about disruption. And unfortunately, we still have two kinetic wars going on right now. And when you look at supply chains, whether that's supply chains for whatever, all the way to ammunition, they're just being disrupted. And if businesses get disrupted, that affects people, it affects mindset. So hackers are about money, but they're also about creating chaos. And you create chaos by disrupting the normal course of business. We're seeing a ton of that. And so cyber has never been more intense. There's a lot of providers, a lot of people doing this. But man, it is the Wild West. Cyber is a crazy industry.
Yeah. Well, also, we talk about AI and things going autonomous. Well, imagine like your entire house is autonomous, your car's autonomous, and getting hacked.
Right.
Right. Like it gets pretty scary.
It gets very scary. And that's on a personal level. So on a business level, think about machinery. Think about, forget your servers and computers, which are always connected, but think about machinery these days, right? IoT devices, video. We're talking to companies right now that do access controls, both militarized and for companies. Those things are all in the cloud. They're not only digitized, they're in the cloud. If the cloud got hacked as well, which we've seen happen, think about just all of a sudden all your doors open to all your facilities globally. Like that could be a problem. That could be a problem.
Yeah.
So not only is that a digital potential hack, that could also then be a physical hack. As that door opens, who's coming in, right? So there is so much that's coming together. We're all in the cloud. We're all digitized. Cyber's never been a more intense struggle. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. No, definitely exciting times, and it's a great space to be in. So
yeah, no doubt.
So thank you so much, Tony, for all your insights. It's been great. I got a few texts from people saying this has been extremely insightful. This is a show for entrepreneurs, for capital allocators, and it's really for us to collectively learn from our collective experience. So this has been great. Thank you, appreciate it. Usually
Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yeah, no, this is great. So usually where we end the show is really around, what can we as a network do for you? What type of people you want to connect with, and how can we help you?
It's a great question. As a sales guy, I'm like, hey, what's the budget of all your contacts, right? No, at the end of the day, look, no matter what business you're in, especially businesses that have an incredible amount of IP and disruption that can hurt their business. If there's anyone out there that would like to talk about our AI security operations, let us know. Feel free to contact me directly or agileblue.com. We'd love to help in any way.
Great. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, everyone, for your continued support and to listen to this. Have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you.